welcome to the channel, Ross the Barbarian, Gaz Mosh PSM. Go sub him at Mosh Shinobi. Today, Conan, 1982, The Riddle of Steel. We'll have a wide deep dive to go in this action-packed, legendary grindhouse adventure. Really, too much to say. We could probably start off with plot, then we could get into filming. The casting stuff is absolutely hilarious. Super interesting production notes. Shout out to Dino, the Italian producer. You ever heard Arnold tell that story, guys, when the production didn't want him because of his accent? And like Dino, the lead producer, bought the rights as like Italian. So he's like, you can't play Conan, you have an accent. And Arnold was like, you have an accent.
Yeah.
And then Arnold obviously ended up playing him. So it's just like a hilarious interaction between an Italian and an Austrian. Shout out to the chat. What up, JSV? Welcome to Planet X Filmworks, the #1 in interweb programming. Slipknot, what's good? Calm, I've never played to you before. This review is going to be ripe with Arnold Conan quotations. Conan quotes.
What is best in life?
What's the enemies? I don't know.
Yeah.
Can we see this, guys? Nothing is.
Oh man, yes. This is a review been coming for a long time. We did do another Conan review way back in the day, which was pretty famous because
more of a roast.
Called that one Conan the Barbarian, the
Conan 3D.
And Ross on that show, we'll maybe have to have a look for this for you one time, folks. But Ross went off. He was mad. The whole show was just Ross ranting and me in the background just laughing my head off. That was pretty much it.
It was such an infamous rant that people clipped it off of me and Gaz's radio show and played it on other radio shows on the network. Like, hey, so here's what went down this weekend. Ross went in on Conan 3D. Well, let's talk about that, because before me and Gaz went live, we were talking about how Arnold, for the longest time, was trying to get what they were calling the Legend of Conan in the last script, but what Gaz referred to as King Conan. I mean, you guys all know what that is. Is that the intro to the movie? Yes, it's not the end, right? No, they moved it to the end, right? When it shows.
Yeah, there's the intro, and then there's the shot of him at the end on the throne, and it's always had that line. But I think that's a story for another time and adventure. And of course, we've wanted that story ever since.
Yeah, we can bring it up at the end. And, Arnold said that he's tried to get it going. And it's just, I think the real problem is just whoever owns the Conan rights, which, like, I've heard about that guy. I think it's some Norwegian dude or Swede. Think he's kind of a chooch. They talked about doing a Conan Amazon series. Right. And that never went down. And I do want to talk about the animated series that me and Gaz were talking about before we went live. Of course, there's the MMO RPG, Gaz, which, like, I think that's, if we're not going to get King Conan, and we'll just real quick, while we're waiting for people to populate in, I think that's really where you take it right now. Is like, this material is so good for like a third person, adventure game, even a co-op game, you know what I mean? Because obviously Conan has Subatoy and Valeria with him in this movie. Obviously, if you care to watch Conan the Destroyer, you can find out where he takes it in that one. Gaz has got the book, the novel there, and then of course there's the I think I've looked it up before, and now I'm forgetting. Gaz, I know at one point Conan was with Marvel, and then I think the property bounced around to possibly Dark Horse. But I think there's multiple editions in different comic companies.
There you go, folks. You can see that as well.
Hyborian Age there. Yeah. In case you get lost.
Just recommended reading. This is a rite of passage. Pass that on as well.
Skip LOTR and just go straight to Hyborian Age. If you want some mindless killing of Conan versus the Snake Cult. So yeah, dude, it was a good watch, guys. I'll show them what I got. It's been a long while since I showed a hard copy, so I have the Complete Quest DVD here. Good. This is actually funny, guys, because it looks like it's one of those old school, like, double-sided DVDs. But the thing is, when you pop it in, you could either watch one or two. There are some bonus features on here. I watched the deleted scenes. Pretty standard rule with those. Most of the time, deleted scenes are deleted for a reason, but there is one hilarious one that a bit of a blooper I'll talk about at the end. They have Conan Unchained, the making of Conan. I'm sure that's probably on YouTube. I should have watched that for you guys. I didn't get a chance to. And then, of course, the commentary with director John Millius. We'll talk about him and actor Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's what I should have watched because I really like watching, lead actor, director commentaries, just to give you guys like some, hey, this is what they said. But I've seen the movie probably at least 5 times. Maybe 10, but it'd been years since I watched it, Gaz. So I just wanted to see it raw, So I just watched the regular film. There's the Conan Archives theatrical trailer, and then the Conan the Destroyer theatrical trailer. I'll show you.
Yeah,
you guys can really see that stuff. You can see some stills.
There. Chris Jones there. Yep. James L. Jones.
Yep.
Come to me, my darling. Come to me,
dude. Jones is the man. Well, so this is another thing I was going to bring up is like. Everyone always derides Jones because, I know Darth Vader is probably get the CBX. No need to have that for the Conan show. Everybody derides Darth Vader. I know he's the most epic, villain of all time, but Thulsa Doom, equally as insane and definitely, more like, first of all, you don't see Jones's face when he plays Darth Vader. So, I mean, iconic voice, yes, but I feel like you get a little bit more Jones with the Thulsa Doom character, who's actually a combination of 2 Conan characters from the source material.
Well, outside of Conan for me, he is the most standout character. Apart from the little Asian guy with him, who's equally memorable. Yeah. His acting, the way he delivers his lines, his speech, even the closing, the famous closing scene, which we'll get to, whether at the temple. I've always thought he was fantastic. And this movie, it's on TV a lot. You can guarantee it's on TV at least every 4 or 6 weeks. And there's a reason for that as well. And yes, every time it's on, I'll DVR it and I'll watch it because I think it's just such a fantastic movie. Its impact as well. If you look at what's connected to it, you mentioned Conan the Destroyer, Mac's favorite spin-off movie. Yes, I'm going to go there. Red Sonja.
Man, Mac, we better get him back on that.
Well, there's a reason for him to come back there.
Yeah, big time. If you said that about me, I would come back.
Yeah. So there you go, Mac. Come on. Well, Annie's character in that, he'll be killed. You think you'll lie me anyway. Annie's character in that is still based on Conan as well, and you look
Calador.
You look at all the impact on music. We've talked about this so many times. Games, graphic novels, even the sample you used on your former career on Star Metal, the intro, and it's got that from the score from the Conan movies as well.
Rest in peace to Chino XL. That sample's actually from the animated series.
Yeah, and it's and that's fantastic, man. So there's no getting away from it. For me, I know people talk about Lord of the Rings kind of being like the Star Wars of fantasy. But I think the original Conan is definitely up there for the impact that's had on fantasy. It's definitely one of the quintessential fantasy movies.
I agree. I mean, there's so many crossovers here, guys, to other shows we've done, and I've a couple points that Gaz was just saying. So there's talk of a Red Sonja, I guess, remake, and I know Mr. H keeps covering that. I don't know where it is. I think it was like development hell, but from what I heard, it's done and it's coming. The first one's absolutely shite, which is what Gaz's joke was there. So I don't know why that gets a remake, but we have to wait for Conan. So John Millius, Oliver Stone, we've discussed them many times. So Millius actually wrote and directed Dirty Harry, which Gaz and I reviewed due to the Zodiac connection. And he wrote several more of those Deadpool, I was going to call it a trilogy, but there's actually there's like 4 or 5 of them, Gaz. So the Deadpool series. So he was brought in as, the kind of tough guy, man's man director. And then, of course, Oliver Stone. So Milius rewrites Oliver Stone's script. Oliver Stone, genius on, infinite levels. Of course, Milius wrote the Apocalypse Now a script, which Gaz and I covered. So Millius comes out of Big Wednesday, which is the surfer movie that I think John Philbin and I of Point Break were talking about in the Philbin interview. So there's just like, even though it's Conan and it's so random, it's Milius connects to Stone. Stone obviously wrote Scarface. There's like connections to like 5 or 6 PXF classics here, which is random because you don't really make the jump in your mind probably from Dirty Harry to Apocalypse Now to Conan the Barbarian, right? They seem like completely different films, but I think that just shows Milius's variety, you know, his diversity, how he's able to. I mean, yeah, they all have like the macho, masculine, tough guy kind of everything except Apocalypse Now. I guess Apocalypse Now has got a little bit of that, but it's more of like an insane, you know, adventure into Vietnam.
But that said, there's still some good female characters. Oh man, I actually mentioned Red Sonja, and she's the villain in Red Sonja. You know what, the girl who's the female barbarian. She's the villain in Red Sonja. She's like the evil sorceress. And if you look at even the guy who did the soundtrack, I'm probably
this one, his name. Basil, I believe it's Basil, right?
Basil Poliduris.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at it, his the other scores he's composed, there's OG RoboCop, Hunt for the Red October.
That's awesome.
The Batman, Night's End, which was a short. There's some killers on that list that he's done. So
Riders of the Storm is the famous anthem. This one. Dun, 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 dun. This film has one of the best scores of all time. Let's do some genres, guys. Dark fantasy, fantasy epic, sword and sandal, sword and sorcery, adventure fantasy. Synopsis: a powerful warrior seeks to avenge the genocide of his people and the murder of his parents at the hands of a snake cult. But as we were saying with Thulsa Doom, like, okay, I get the dude that Darth Vader gets, but like, if Darth Vader kills you, he's just gonna like choke you or like slice your head off with a lightsaber. Like, both of those are like relatively quick ways to go, as opposed to like what Thulsa Doom's gonna do to you. He's gonna feed you to like a cannibalistic orgy, or you know what I mean, something much stranger is gonna happen to you. So I think it gives a bit more depth to the psychology. Mako is the man. I'm not sure about Crying Freeman. I think I have that on my list, but he's the wizard. Mako was absolutely sick.
No, it's John. No, Mako is the man. Sorry, I was getting Mako confused with somebody else from another film, and I realized it's not the same actor, but they look similar.
Interesting about Subatoy. So he, I don't think, ever did action. I think his name is Jerry Lopez. He never did action before. He came out of Big Wednesday, which is that John Millius surfing movie. So it's some of the like, and I really like that guy's fighting style in Conan. Like, I like how he had that sort of like Mongol. He had like the curved blade, and he had that kind of Mongol fighting style. And of course, he was an archer. Like, as Gaz was saying, I really think it came together well with the three thieves, the three brigands, Conan, Subatoy, and Valeria, the female barbarian. Sandal Bergman. Oops.
There was a. Sorry.
You know how it is when you just read the chat and you don't look at the name.
Yeah, that was a Gaz moment, wasn't it?
Mos Shinobi, whoever the hell that guy is.
Yeah, that random guy, on another planet as always. There was a fun fact I read though that Arnie did most of the stunts for the movie and had performed with two types of sword as well, and each one cost $10,000. And when I read that, I thought, wow, that's amazing. And whoever's got that sword now, what it would be worth. Man, that's
millions. I can't. I would like to Google that. I can't speak on that. I know Arnie has the Iceman suit from Batman and Robin, and he pays the studio, I think it's $1 million a year to keep it. So you'd have to think about the amount of money a guy has when he can pay a studio $1 million a year to keep his costume that he made in the '90s. And not even be like, hey, I don't need to look at the bank account. I'm going to need to hold on to this. I wonder if he dresses it up and just like gets in character around his mansion. I'd assume he does it. I assume he does at some point. Let's do some plot. We're like 14 minutes in, but thank you guys for rocking with us. Man, so like I said, guys, even though I've seen it many, many times, I haven't watched it in years. I had totally forgot about that. Obviously, his father is the Cimmerian blacksmith that creates the blade in the first scene. And then there's kind of like his Cimmerian village before they get attacked by the snake cult. What up, Cody? Shout out to Wet Paint Pictures. Seeing some stills of this Crow Days of Sodom they got going on. Everybody go over there and subscribe. I think Cody will have some news on that coming soon. So they're making the sword, right? I had totally forgot about that whole intro sequence of him like as a child. And then obviously what happens to his mom. I mean, you can see that sets off the whole revenge story arc. But yeah, it just had been a long time since I seen it. So I obviously I remember all the fights, like obviously that first heist that they do in the temple, the Snake Tower, just like certain things like that. And then obviously that kind of pit fighter montage of when he gets older and stuff like that. But yeah, just as far as that whole beginning sequence of like the death of his parents, dude, I'd totally forgotten about that. Like I'm sure subconsciously I remembered it, but I'm just like, I don't remember this scene at all. You know?
And it's quite a brutal opening as well. If you look back for its time as well, and it's still fairly brutal now, and that obviously sets up the premise of the whole movie. So many iconic scenes as well to fights in the pits when he's like, when he's being trained better in the gladiator. Yeah, it's awesome.
Don't really care. I'm not really like a big Superman guy. Like I've seen a few of the other ones. The whole Snyder thing kind of burned me out. Like I'm open to it being good. That Flash movie with Batman was like kind of weird because they did all like the CGI. So they had like the Nick Cage Superman. It was all CGI. So I don't know. I mean, I'm open to it being good. I'm just like, I'm not super connected.
Is it Snyder doing this? Because to be honest, I know nothing about it. Is Snyder doing this movie?
No, it's James Gunn, I think.
Well, that's one good thing because
maybe.
Yeah, I don't really. Yeah, I'm not into. I'll say Snyder's later era movies, the way he does that style.
Yeah, and again, I think that was like he was getting paid the big bag of the studios. Like you got to do this, so it was like less Snydery than Dawn of the Dead or Watchmen or 300. Yeah, so. There's like a shepherd that moved downstairs. I don't know if you guys could hear that. He's whiling on somebody.
He's maybe knows we're reviewing Conan and he's a bit amped.
The feral dogs that chase Conan to the first. There's actually a hilarious blooper about that. I don't know if you saw it, guys, or read it in the production notes. So Thulsa Doom shows up. Snake Cult shows up. Conan's in the woods. They rush in. Riders of Doom. Cue Riders of Doom. Backtrack one. They basically eliminate Conan's dad, who is the Cimmerian blacksmith. His mother's like holding his hand, and Thulsa Doom basically decapitates her, and Conan's sold into slavery. So it sets him out to kind of an epic origin. I know, what's his name? Robert E. Howard, right, is the original creator, and so some of those original like Conan scholar guys were saying that like Conan would never allow himself to be, based off of the source material, he'd never allow himself to be a slave, and he would like fight back. Whereas they said like this Conan was like relatively docile when he was like in slavery. I haven't read enough of the source material to know that, to quite be honest with you. But as far as this narrative, I thought it played out well. So he goes on the Wheel of Pain, right, guys, as a child, and that's the montage that rotates into him being, Arnold Schwarzenegger, jacked, fresh off pumping iron, absolutely hilarious haircut. So Arnold comes out ripped, and eventually they set him up. We could break down the first pit fight. He fights that kind of a reptilian dude, guys, with the sharpened teeth, with the gladiator armor. The way that fight starts is kind of hilarious because his owner tells him like, "Hey, you sit on this side, you sit on that side," and they stare at each other for like the whole day until night comes when they have the festival. And then, like, when Conan gets in there and he has to fight and he just lets that guy get a bunch of free hits on him, it's almost like, oh, I didn't know that we were going to be fighting. It's like, dude, he's had you sit there for 24 hours, like 12 hours, whatever it is. You didn't know that you were going to be fighting that dude when you're the only two people sitting across from each other, like when he just lets that dude just light him up. And then obviously Conan, the fight goes back and forth and Conan overpowers him. But the dude bites his neck with the sharpened teeth. It's pretty grimy.
Yeah, there's those whole sequences are, and of course that sets up the further fights we see. Slipping an interesting fun fact there: the guy who played Conan's father is William Smith. I saw him in a movie called Grave of the Vampire, which was written by David Chase, creator of The Sopranos. Nice.
Good writer. Love The Sopranos. I haven't seen Grave of the Vampire, but I'll put it on my list, Slippy.
Yeah, def. Even just backing up a little bit before that, when he has been captured and he's in slavery, and I think this is just after the Wheel of Pain. I hope I've not got ahead of myself here. When he's kind of like being crucified and he bites one of the birds.
Yeah, that's later on when Thulsa.
Yeah, later on, I thought I got a bit ahead of myself.
That's a sick sequence. I actually read about how they actually created the Tree of Woe, and it's actually like on a rotating disc to get the shadows right in the angles, so it wouldn't change. But a 3D, like, it's great. Like, you know, you see these kind of what you think is like a relatively simple sequence, and then you like read about how they did it, and you'll just find so much detail. And again, I would say, guys, watch the making of it if you have the DVD or the Blu-ray. I don't know if you guys have the director's cut or whatever hard copies are out there, but
and do you think the brutalness of that first fight and the ones that follow, particularly in those pits, there's something really primal about them? So as a viewer, does that make it more authentic to you, to kind of how it would be if somebody was in that situation, in that kind of world? Because they're very brutal, very direct. There's no flair. You've got to fight for survival. I mean, and the good thing is, there's a critique now of many movies where they become an instant warrior and they can do everything straight away. They don't go through progression. But you actually see that with Conan after that fight. You know, you see him getting better, and when he obviously becomes one of the top fighters then. And I thought that was really well done.
Sure, becomes the champion. Yeah, absolutely. I would agree 100%. Yeah, I mean, maybe a little bit dramatic when he lets because that first guy is not even his size. Like, yeah, I get he's got the sharpened teeth and blah, blah, blah. And Conan drops the elbows on his back, you know, the Conan martial arts, which me and Gaz will break down. But, you know, eventually he upgrades his armor. He gets the fist blades. You know, I like that pit fighter style he develops with the fist blades. That's super cool. Yeah, so ultimately his owner, he wins his freedom, you know, gladiator style, a la the movie Gladiator. And that's when he takes off running into the plains. Basically, you have the feral dogs chasing him, and that's when he posts up on the tombstones, and falls into he falls back. He goes to sip his water or something, right? He falls back into the catacombs. Another little comedic relief.
Yeah. Is that with the classic line, isn't it, where he says the prayer to Crom and says to hell with you if he doesn't answer?
That's the final fight, but he says something. He says something to like about the sword, like you won't need it, you won't mind if I need it, and something Crom, and then he like hits the dust off the sword, which always confused me because I was always like, is he calling that warrior in the temple Crom? But we know that
I've always wondered that.
The god. I know. Anyway, if one of the Conan callers comes through, let us know, or anybody that knows the lore better. I'm sure there's an explanation for that on the internet that neither Gaz or I looked up. So they call this the Atlantean sword. He gets the Atlantean sword, which is super badass. I'm just running back up to plot. This wiki page is huge, by the way, guys. There's like 6 different, segments of it. So his father was explaining the riddle of steel. That's the aphorism of the importance of steel to their people, the Cimmerians. Gaz and I covered that fight. Okay, chased by wild dogs, seeks refuge in an Atlantean warrior's tomb, for which he takes an ancient sword. Conan wanders the world, betting a prophetic witch and befriending Subotai, a Hyrcanian thief and archer. Actually, I want to go back. So when he was in slavery, and they brought the woman into his cage, Gaz, and there's like 10 dudes watching him. Nothing weird about that, huh?
well, we'll say
different time.
He could focus, not be deterred.
Bit of a performance, like that's all I could think is like
strong steel.
No, for sure. I'm like, you would never have this going down nowadays, and the woke culture, cancel culture would not be allowed that. So yeah, there's certainly some strange 80s types things that go on, guys. But again, what reminded me of that is Conan betting the witch. So she beckons him in there, removes his pants. Pixie will probably notice some things about Arnold in this scene. And
I'm sure she did.
He's got one of the few like naked action sequences that you'll come across in these adventure action movies. But as Conan is betting her, as Wikipedia uses the phrase, he throws her under the fire and she burns out. That's like when the spirit like sparks across all the walls and whips out down there. I always thought this was pretty cool. I mean, I get it was 82, guys, but like, the special effects don't look that bad compared to like some of the CGI crap you see on modern days when they have triple and quadruple the budget of this film.
It's pretty. It's pretty good, and it's even kind of got that Evil Dead kind of feel to it, that
Yep,
moment.
I agree.
And I think, and I don't mean this in a patronizing sense, the way it was filmed and the simplistic brutality as well in some of the fights, it just kind of makes it a little more, I guess, an authentic barbarian story in that
Agreed.
sense. You know, this is a brutal fantasy world. You know, we're not all going to like be sat in Elven Forest, you know, playing flutes and harps and whatever.
Yeah,
You know, this is
smoking pipes
gritty,
and
it's
singing
grimy.
ballads. Yeah, for sure. No, yeah, as Gaz said, the primal, especially the practical effects when we get to that final fight. You see some stuff, especially when Conan gets the sword upgrades. I remember some absolutely brutal decapitations of Thulsa's warriors where the head just goes flying off, spurting blood. They said some of the swords had the blood spurts in them, Gaz. So like when they filmed it, that's how they were able to have like blood shoot off. And then even this is grimy, guys. I'd hate to say this, but this is how films were in '82. Got a bunch of animal blood off the floors of slaughterhouses. So when the warriors were dead on the ground and they pulled that blood around them, that was like real animal blood. It's grimy, guys, but that's why the film looks so grimy. You know what I mean? Just because no detail was spared. So yeah, you got the old like medieval witch archetype. You know, that's a pretty common thing in these sword and sandal sorcery movies. He links up with Sabatai, who is stuck out there saying he hasn't eaten for days, and he's like, food, I need some food. He tells him that he needs strength to fight off the wolves, and Conan kind of punks him and says, who says that you will? He's like, I need to eat. He's like, who says that you will? There's a classic Arnold line there. But that, just basically sets up them linking up, going on, getting his sidekick for the adventure, so to speak.
Yeah, and he's an entertaining character as well. I even like the rogue guy who joins them as well. He's pretty good. The chemistry was very good between the cast. I agree. The name that I couldn't recall earlier, and I mentioned she's the villain in Red Sonja as well. The female barbarian, Sandal Bergman. Mm-hmm. A lot of people. Some people aren't fans of this movie because they'll say, "All right, it's very macho. It's it's very like hypercentric on the kind of male manliness and everything." But I wanted to stress that there is good female characters in this, especially Sandra. She certainly holds her own, has some memorable moments. Her fight line she keeps in as well.
Her fight choreography is sick. Apparently, she's a dancer that I think previously worked with Millius. I can't remember who.
Interesting.
She's like a professional dancer, so she definitely had the balance, had the footwork for the fight choreography. That final escape from the caves when she kind of tees off at that lot, absolutely sick. So she's super dope. I actually think her death scene could have been, we'll come to that, could have been a little bit better. Valeria, and then there's Max von Sydow played King Osric. I think he was a big deal back then. So following the witch's advice, Conan and Sabatai go to the city of Zamora to seek out Doom. That's where they finally meet Valeria. That's who the actress Gaz was just talking about. Female brigand. The three raid the Tower of Serpents, slaying a giant snake and looting the jewels and other valuables it guarded. After escaping with their loot, the thieves celebrate, and Conan has sex with Valeria because that's just how Conan celebrates. Apparently, the city guards capture the trio and bring them to King Osric, who offers them a reward if they will rescue his daughter, Princess Yamina. I really like us. So this is one of we had sampled this scene back in the day too, guys, when he's talking to them about them being thieves.
I remember.
Who has become a cultist of Doom. Sabatai and Valeria demur, but Conan, who already desires vengeance against Doom, sets off for the villains of the Temple of Set. Yeah, I like it when they break into that tower to get the jewels. Obviously, Valeria dresses like one of the priestesses. Conan and Sabatai go down to that kind of subterranean layer. I don't even know what to call that place. And it's obviously where the giant snakes are, man. That fight with Conan and the snake, crazy. He sticks the sword through the bottom of the snake's chin and gets it on the wall, and Subotai covers him with the arrows and pins the head to the wall, and then Conan chops off the head. Super grimy. Like, I don't know. There's something satisfying about just watching them fight the giant snakes. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's real great dark fantasy, and like when we've played games games that are dark fantasy games with those kind of sequences, we've had to fight some great big creature or monster, and we've got a party there, and we've had to use the abilities of each one to defeat it. You can see where they've drawn that influence from Conan. That's definitely one of my favorite scenes in the movie for sure.
Interestingly enough, guys, I'm just going to pop up here. Yeah. So I did. Where did I read that? Okay. Talking about like pre-production, basically. Millius was appointed as director, and he rewrote Stone's script. The final screenplay integrated elements from various Howard stories, as well as the Japanese films Seven Samurai, 1954, and Qui-Gon, 1965. I'd never heard of Qui-Gon, but we should check it out down the line. 64 anthology horror film directed by Masaki Kobayashi, based on stories from a collection of Japanese folk tales. So apparently it's like some crazy like horror kind of thing from that samurai era.
Interesting to take a look at that. Yeah.
But I mean, the Seven Samurai influence is also interesting. You know what I mean? Because Gaz and I have been covering Kurosawa heavily here. So their escape from that tower. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'd have to assume so, man. Obviously, The Witcher. Yeah. You'd assume like all those beastie fights in The Witcher, very, very Conan, reminiscent. When Valeria is escaping, so Conan and Subotai climb up the ropes, but when Valeria is escaping, she wraps that rope around the one snake soldier and throws him down the well, and so then it pulls her other rope. And I was thinking like, okay, couldn't like Conan and Subotai have done that as well, but instead they just climbed up manually. Just stupid things Ross thinks of when watching an action movie.
No, it's you do. And when you haven't seen it for a while, even if you've seen it many times, you still notice little things like, well, why didn't they do this or that? Like going live and forgetting the characters' names as well. But that's just a Gaz thing, Subotai, Valeria.
It happens. Okay, so where were we? Temple of no, where are we? After raid okay, so the King Osric scene, that's awesome. He tells them that like there comes a time where like jewels are kind of lose their luster, and he really encompasses like the whole thing is like Conan being from pit fighter to gladiator to barbarian to legend to king. Osric kind of brings that full circle by telling him like you amass all this stuff, and I'll have enough jewels to like essentially make you a king. But regardless, you're still going to fight these battles. You're always going to have enemies. I feel like that's kind of like, the more you amass, you give somebody else a reason to take it from you, right? So.
And that happens in the source material in the book a lot. When he's not out fighting whoever, there's lots of political intrigue with someone always trying to take his seat of power. He's never sure who he can trust. And of course, you've got all the fantasy mystical elements in there as well. So it's a great read, and the movie definitely captures that.
Yeah, I think like Gaz was saying, I think Osric is one of the better characters, and he kind of sets off the whole, rescue his daughter plotline story arc back. So this part is actually some hilarious stuff here. Disguised as a priest, Conan infiltrates the temple. Okay, so like when he walks in, he's just like wearing his normal stuff. Is it not weird and creepy how that priest was creeping on him, Gaz? Like, did you not get the feeling that go behind the bush and do things to the muscular body?
Definitely, Messina, kind of thing. Like, come with me, my son. Not the kind of, if you've ever got to go in a confession box, that wouldn't be the kind of person you would want to sit in there.
No, if he tells you to go outside around the bush, then consider other options.
Definitely. That I got that vibe straight away, man.
Same. But then obviously Conan hits him with a couple elbows, drops him like a bad habit. But what I was thinking is like, okay, like Conan has defeated like a few like battles of the snake soldiers by now. He's already raided the tower, killed the giant snake, like stole the jewels. Rexor, who's like Doom's right-hand man, is on to him. So I'm thinking like they haven't put out word that there's a massive jacked cimmerian Austrian guy going around that has like a mullet haircut that no one notices. So he puts the priest uniform on. I mean, obviously this gets disproved in the next scene, but he puts the priest uniform on. It's like, oh my God, where'd Conan go? It's kind of like when Clark Kent takes the glasses off and takes his suit off. It's like, where'd he go when he goes in the phone booth? It's like Conan put on the priest thing. It's like, yeah, but he's still a massively ripped cimmerian that has the same haircut that everyone knows.
That's a bit of a problem with a lot of the modern superhero shows as well, where they don the disguise and it's literally like some face paint around the eyes, and I'm like, you cannot see that's the same person, and it's just like there might be just a little bit of a curl here, or they'll have like a headband on like I am at the moment, something like that, a little bit just a pin here and there. I'm like, that's not a disguise.
Yeah, just like the headband around their eyes, like their Ninja Turtle. It's like, if it only covers your eyes, I know what your face looks like.
Yeah, it's like they're going to cosplay night. That's it.
Yeah. So anyway, more stupid things Ross thinks of while watching adventure films. So disguised as a priest, Conan infiltrates the temple, but is discovered, captured, and tortured. Doom lectures him on the power of flesh over steel, which demonstrates by hypnotically commanding a young woman cultist to leap to her death. Yeah. That is a nuts scene.
Dude, that was the scene I mentioned earlier, where he says, as you said, he recounts a riddle of steel, and then he says, come to me, my darling, come to me. Yeah, and she jumps, and then doesn't he say, that, my boy, that is power. And
100%. The mind control, insane. Like his mind control of the cult is nuts. I think it's earlier on in the film when Thulsa transmuted into the reptilian. I think, or I don't know when that is. If I have that messed up.
Definitely does it when there's the, how can I say this politely within YouTube, the group sparring session where they're all being intimate together.
Yeah,
that definitely does it then, doesn't it? Yeah.
He might do it more than once. Honestly, I think they could have done more than that. Like probably what they should have done in that final buildup, which you mentioned before, was they probably should have had him transmute into the reptile, because it would have been way sicker to see Conan kill him in the reptilian form, which is more of a theme in the animation.
It's a quick question. I'm not going to try and take us right down this rabbit hole, because it's not that kind of show that we're doing today, and this is going to be hard for me and you not to do this though. And I know we've talked about this in the past, in all the years we've been friends, but did you get that kind of look on it with the reptilian kind of vibe, influence, Anunnaki, everything?
The reptilian allegory, 100%, Conan the Barbarian. Now, I don't know how prominent it is in the source material. Like if you're reading the book, you can tell us. Obviously, where they took it in the animation. They're actual reptiles that he hits with the star metal, and then when he hits them with the star metal, they get beamed back to the star system they came from. That is a theme I would like to see explored in a Conan film. Like if they could have did King Conan or Legend of Conan, and then use it, because maybe it's like, okay, with the death of Thulsa Doom, now all of the snake soldiers can transmute. Like the animation, that would have been sick.
Yeah, because bro, that's always stuck in my mind. Like all the snake temples, the snake heads everywhere.
Their logos, the necklace, everything is the dual snake symbolism, and then of course, Thulsa Doom being the apex of the transmutation. 100%, it's an allegory for the reptilian theme, and again, that's something that comes up. The Naga in Hinduism, like guys said, that's prominent in mythology all over the world, and I think that's why they used it. I think Conan is just the best, most known example of it. He then has Conan crucified on the Tree of Woe. Actually, there's a little bit more. So Conan calls him out. You killed my father. You killed my people. You took my father's sword. Oh! And then Thulsa Doom's answer to that is, it must have been when I was younger. Like my favorite thing about it, like they show that scene of him killing his parents, and then when Conan checks him on it face to face, he's like, oh, I've killed so many people's like families, I don't even remember that,
as if he was going for a cup of coffee.
He's done it so many times now. It's like, oh yeah, in my younger age I used to raid a lot of villages and decapitate your parents. Oops, sorry about that. Hey, do you want to join my snake cult? So that's pretty nuts. And again, that like James Earl Jones nailed that cold-hearted super villain persona. So he puts him on the Tree of Woe that you were talking about, crucify him. That's what Gaz was talking about. So Conan's pretending to be asleep or whatever with his head down, and the vultures are trying to. So the vulture's actually like pecking at him, right? Because there's like blood. Yeah. There's blood coming out of the vulture's beak.
Yeah, and he bites one of the necks.
Conan rips out his neck with his teeth and kills him. I was like, how long has Conan been there, and like how many of those things has he killed with his teeth? That was my thought. Most people probably weren't thinking about that because there was other vultures on the tree. So I was like, dude, he's been going ham. They left him there for days. They could have extended that scene.
The way it was shot as well when you first see it, and then it goes in closer as well. Really well done.
Yeah, hell yeah. Now, John Milius, I mean, I honestly think he's one of the best directors of all time, but I honestly think also underrated, you know what I mean? Because not everybody is like a, Apocalypse Now, Dirty Harry, Conan fanboy like us. But I mean, again, he did Big Wednesday. That's a surfing movie. You know what I mean? It's like the dude has, crazy diversity to his resume. A pretty cool sequence here. I did watch this. They have the special effects sequence on the DVD. Sabatoy and Valeria rescue the near-dead Conan and bring him to Akiro, the Wizard of the Mountains. That's played by Mako, like Slippy said. Mako's also the narrator of the film. I believe Conan was supposed to narrate the film, but they didn't want him to because of his accent. Right. I don't know if that got changed along the. Did I say Conan? I meant Schwarzenegger. Who lives on a burial site of warriors and kings. The wizard summons spirits to heal Conan. Wars that they will extract a heavy toll, which Valeria is willing to pay. The spirits try to abduct Conan, but he's restored to health after Valeria and Sabatoy fend them off. It's just a sick scene. I love the whole the way they filmed it, the way the wind, all the whipping sand, and then him kind of whipping up and down in the winds, and then her fighting off the spirits of the warriors. It's just it's an interesting scene. I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's quite. That's what I like about it. It still has a little bit of that mystical element, which is in the books. Yep. There's one story in a book where I think it's quite a while since I've read it, folks. But I think he's walking down a corridor in like a dream world, and there's this mysterious figure who is, I guess, imparting wisdom, kind of giving him some riddles and things to solve. It's been so long since I've read it, so I might not be 100 on that. But I feel that the film does capture that, and that whole scene I thought was really good, where you got the spirits, as you said, trying to take him to the underworld, and Valeria is saying, take me instead. I offer myself if you save his life, which you could argue kind of happens in the next scene, as we'll get to in a moment.
Yeah, the whole the red hues of the sand of the spirits. I don't know if color correction existed in '82, but I suppose they had some primitive version of it. So even the color correction of Milius and his, obviously that's something much more prominent in new school films, but Milius and his editor, again, another, and again, when you look up the special effect, like that's not a bad special effect for '82, and they were trying to get this movie made, I think, since '70, but it was just caught up with rights and money stuff, and the dude actually spent a lot of money trying to get I think it's like over 100 thou to get the rights to the script, and there's just, anyway, we'll cover it later maybe if we choose to. So summons the spirits to heal Conan and warns that that's heavy toll. I already read that. So he's restored to health after Valeria and Sabatoy fend them off. Sabatoy and Valeria agree to help Conan complete King Osrit's quest and infiltrate the Temple of Set as the cult indulges in a cannibalistic orgy. I think that was what Gaz was referring to. Hopefully I don't get demonetized for saying that. It's just
I'm always thinking of alternative ways we can describe.
Yeah, we're talking about adventure, adventure, sword and sorcery film, not other unsavory subjects, but it is what it is. The thieves attack and flee with the princess. I mean, that fight is actually insane. So they come up with the war paint on, with Conan shirtless with the war paint, and Sabatoy got the war paint on. And man, how they dismantle Thulsa Doom's like guard security is like one of the more brutal fights. They really slice and dice those fools in there.
It's brutal and efficient. It's kind of like in a way a very dark, violent version of samurais. I guess, with Conan as well, the pose, before he has a big fight, during that fight when he poses and like this sword, that from a filmmaking perspective, the way that was shot, and he's in the stance as well, and then that was good. What up, Pixie? Thanks for coming through.
Pixie.
Yeah, that was sick though. I loved it. I even like the war paint they were wearing as well.
Awesome. I mean, Conan's body looked like super like pale. So I don't know I don't know if they powdered him up to like accentuate his Caucasian mountain features. That big, I didn't really gather what that big acid bath was, Gaz, that they were pouring on the people, but there was obviously like skulls in there. So I don't know if that was like some sort of snake venom.
Yeah, I don't know. Possibly, I guess. I mean, it's not something you'd want to go swimming in, that's for sure. Or take a
well,
sip.
Conan poured it all over everybody when he kicked it down the stairs. So that was funny.
Yeah.
He looked it up. Used to brutal Conan strength. And then I wonder, because you made that reference, guys. I wonder if Millius took some of the Seven Samurai influence in that fight scene. You know.
Well, if you think the way they face off before they start fighting, and then Conan. Is it Rex? One of the first exchanges they have before the final exchange. Yeah. Rexor, sorry, thanks, Ross.
Yeah.
It does feel like two gangs of Ronin facing off with each other. With a very dark fantasy, I guess, look to it.
Yeah, one of the better fights, without a doubt. So I believe they rescue. They rescue the princess. So this fight on the way out, this is where Valeria really shines. She gets separated, I think, because Conan and Sabotoy are ahead of her, and those two snake soldiers try to corner her in the cave. And this is where I think you could see like the balance and the dancer background come across. Yeah. She runs up the side of the wall and slice and dices them both. Like that was a nasty kill. Like she was, as Gaz was saying, she was a perfect.
The way she does that, and it's got me already thinking of a movie that we covered that we both like. Was it Boy Kills World?
Yeah.
Well, I think that was done then, and now that's been integrated in many action movies, or East Asian martial art movies, and the action thrillers and things that we've watched, and they were already thinking of using these different angles then. So
Absolutely. And I think that's John Millius, again, director of Red Dawn. I mean, Vietnam veteran to be this gift. There's one thing the guy knows, it's action scenes. Doom, I think this is when he does his first take a snake and create an arrow out of it mystical move. So Doom shoots Valeria with a magical snake arrow and escapes Conan by transforming into a large serpent. Okay, so this is one of the first, or one of the transmutations. I don't know about one of the first. Sorry about that, Pixie. If you had
fuzzy vibes to you.
Your dog. We're big canine fans here at PXF, so everybody love your dog. So he shoots. So Valeria gets hit with the poison snake arrow. So when she dies in Conan's arms, so my only criticism of this scene here is like she's such a major character, and when they come off their horses, first of all, when it's like night, it's a super dark shot. Like you can barely. I get it's 1982, so they probably didn't have lighting on point in the desert of Spain, but you can barely see. And again, maybe this is due to my DVD. I can't speak if they cleaned up the shot on 4K or Blu-ray or whatever else is going on after this. Maybe it looks better on the new mediums. I don't know. But it was super dark. I could barely see what was going on. And then also, like when she dies, like it's kind of like rushed, Gaz. You know, like obviously that's his love interest. They've done a few quests and missions at this point. But I guess also because they were going to do the funeral pyre scene, I guess they're like, they don't want to draw out her death too long because she kind of has those couple other scenes. So
she does get a moment in the final battle before the end scene, which we were about to get to. However, and it'd be interesting, like I said off air, if they did release a special edition with all of the scenes that they cut out. Apparently, it had even more brutal scenes that were cut out of the film.
I'd love to see that.
So, did she get any more sequences? Because it would have been nice for her, you know, during a final fight. And I know she has that famous scene, but if Valeria stood alongside Conan and went out like in a blaze of glory that moment, that would have been pretty fitting for a character. So I'm with you on that.
That would have been badass. A bit like how at the end of like Return of the Jedi, like Obi-Wan and Anakin they're all like together, you know what I mean? Like that similar type of thing. Obviously, guys is talking about a battle, but I think that would be a lot more fitting for her character. Acknowledging the toll that the wizard warned would be exacted in exchange for Conan's life. I mean, that's kind of obvious. I mean, I felt they repeated those themes like several times throughout the movie. So like, unless you're 5 years old, you probably didn't miss that. Conan cremates her at the mounds and prepares with Sabotoy and the wizard to battle Doom. That's what it says. Conan asks Crom, the Cimmerian god, to grant him revenge. Crom, I never prayed to you before, but it's not. Hell with you.
Hell with you.
He tells his own god to hell with him. And then I believe that's when Sabatoy cries for Conan, right? When Mako asks him.
Yeah, he has that line, yeah.
He's Cimmerian, so I cry for him.
Yeah.
He's Cimmerian, he won't cry.
Classic line.
So Conan does his to hell with you. And then by using booby traps and exploiting their terrain, they manage to slay Doom's warriors. Just when Doom's lieutenant Rexor is about to overcome Conan, Valeria reappears for a brief moment as a Valkyrie to save him from the mortal blow. And yeah, I'd really like to know Gaz's point, because if it's just that one resurrection of the mystical spirit, I think it would have been fitting if she had 2 or 3, because Sabatoy and Conan were so outnumbered. Like, they kind of need her spirit to help with a few of the kills to balance it. And Mako wasn't really fighting, right? He was just helping them with like armor and gear and decoys and stuff. It's like booby traps. So
yeah, and maybe that's in some of those removed scenes.
We don't know what got cut.
Don't know. It could have been, because when they first start, I mean, the way they arrange and set up the traps is great, especially for its time. Again, I know we kept emphasizing this, but I do feel it's ahead of its time. I'm trying to behave myself and dropping that major spoiler on Rexor's moment, I guess.
Final climax.
And that is brutal. But you see, when they lure them in and they take so many of them out, and you're right, Ross, after they take the first few out, then the numbers catch up with them. So it makes sense if Valeria would have had 2 or 3 moments, because she just has that one, she appears, saves Conan.
It seems a little random. I mean, it makes
sense.
Do you
want to live forever, a line.
Seems a little random.
Yeah, so maybe in those removed clips, possibly.
They did more with it, which would certainly be interesting. So, yeah, I think that's she saved. And what I do like about is Conan takes those couple hits on his helmet. Yeah. So it's not like they're just like god moding, like Gaz was saying. Like it's semi-realistic combat.
That's what I like about the film. That's what I was saying when they were
showing down.
First fight, you're fighting as a gladiator. It's not just I'm gonna essentially.
He just chainsaws through every guy. Guys are
you can train for a week and then you're a master. No, no, there is progression, and they're not invincible either. You get the sense of, even though these are powerful, capable warriors, like in that fight, they're outnumbered and they're going to be in danger, and it's like, are they going to get out of this?
For sure. Yeah, of course, Riders of the Storm, of course, legendary epic soundtrack. Just when Doom's lieutenant Rexor is about to overcome Conan, like we said, Valeria reappears a brief moment as Valkyrie saved him from the mortal blow. So it doesn't. Okay, no, it does say Doom shoots another snake arrow at the princess to deny the hero's successful rescue, but Sabatoy blocks it with his shield, and Doom retreats to his temple. Conan kills Rexor and recovers his father's sword, now broken by his Atlantean sword. But they should have did a better explanation of that. So Conan puts his helmet on the booby trap. Rexor tries to smash it, and that is it's a bit like that thing that Dutch used in Predator with the whiplash of the sharpened spike, and that's what kills Rexor. So he's impaled, and that's a pretty. There's definitely some crazy decapitations and brutal kills in this final fight. But that Rexor one is probably the worst of him impaled, because he's trying to reach toward Conan, and Conan's just staring at him, dying. You got what you deserved. It's Conan has a sick reaction to that, and also recovers his father's sword. I think Rexor was the one using it, right?
It's a very brutal scene, and even Rexor's performance, the actor playing him at that time, who really puts across that sense of pain. He's dying in a very brutal way, but I thought it was quite a good performance, and how he showed that to the audience as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I did read something about maybe it was under casting about the dude that played Rexor, where he came from or what he did. I know Sabatoy was based on Genghis Khan's I think main lieutenant or general or whatever. I think that was some Millius.
Ben Davidson played Rexor. That's it.
Yeah. Okay, maybe it was that. Doom's two lieutenants, Thorgrim and Rex, were respectively played by Sven Ole Thorsen, a Danish bodybuilder and karate master. Guys would like that. And Ben Davidson, a former American football player with the Oakland
Raiders.
So he played.
Nice, like, dude.
This is the most like overly like talented cast of like athletes, like fighters, and like, but it's like it doesn't come across because it's Conan. You know what I mean? It's just people think it's just a bloodbath, but most of these people have some sort of like athletic talent or background, which is super interesting. And I think it all comes together well, as Gaz was saying. Recovers his father's sword, now broken by his Atlantean sword, so Conan broke it. But with the aid of the princess now freed from Doom's sway, Conan sneaks back to the temple and confronts Doom in front of his cultists. Doom attempts to embrace him, but the barbarian resists and uses his father's broken sword to behead his nemesis. With Doom's spell broken, the disillusioned cultists dispersed. Conan burns down the temple and leaves to return the princess to her father. I mean, it's an epic. The Temple of Set is awesome. I think they spent $350K building that. If we could double check the production notes. I would have liked a little bit more from Doom's death, just because like he's built up and basically Conan never gets him in all those engagements. He always runs away and escapes. So I would have liked him to like transmute into the reptilian and then have Conan chop off the reptilian.
Oh, dude,
down the stairs. That would
have been amazing.
That would have been nuts. Maybe they scratch my itch if they ever make a sequel.
Oh man, so it'd be ultra picky, I guess. Jumping in on that.
Epic scene, by the way.
So do you feel, even though it is a great ending, Jim again, Thulsa Doom's speech to Conan, saying, you're like a son to me, I am the bosom.
Who's your father now, if not but me?
Do you feel then, coming on that we've had this build, he's been built up throughout the entire movie, and it's an epic movie, don't get me wrong, but do you feel that's just a little anticlimactic after that, and then they kind of all just throw the candles in, and does it just leave you with a bit, would it be nice just to have that little bit something more just to match the rest of the movie?
Again, we don't know what got cut out, so maybe this is one of those moments, like Gaz said, where we lost a little bit of the build up here, and now it's like the studio tells Millius, hey, you got to go, so he's just got to hand them a final cut and get it to theaters, whatever. The sword's broken, so he chops his head off with his father's broken Cimmerian sword. I mean, didn't Thulsa Doom have an army with legions of thousands of soldiers? So he goes back to the temple with no security, and like I get he sent his elites at them in that last fight, and they killed most of them. But didn't he take over like hundreds of cities? So there's literally not one soldier left at the city.
There would have been a detachment easy. There would have been a detachment around, wouldn't there? Yeah.
Unless, I don't know. So there's kind of no explanation for that, unless Millius filmed a fight on the way in there and it got cut. Like
possible,
which is possible. We don't know. But what I would have liked to have seen is Thulsa trying to transmute one more time to get away from this as the snake, and then Conan chops his head off in mid transmutation.
That would have been
get like a reptilian human hybrid head, and then throws that down the stairs. That would have been insane. And then also, I'm nitpicking because me and Gaz watch these movies hundreds of times. when he takes the freaking whatever that was and flings it at the front to light it on fire. Yeah. Dude, that temple's made out of like granite and like limestone. Like was a little lantern of fire.
It just
on fire like that. It just bounced off the stone, and like, how is stone gonna light on fire? Yeah. Was it napalm?
Yeah, it almost becomes like a commercial for getting the wrong kind of people in to do building renovations, doesn't it? That one.
Conan the Barbarian demolition. I'll take down the temple. Wow! No more.
Not built to last.
So a couple maybe little plot holes in there, but he finally faces off with him. I would have liked a little more because obviously Thulsa Doom's dead. I can't even remember what they say about Thulsa Doom in The Destroyer. Do they ever address it? I'll have to go rewatch it. They probably just treat it like it's another quest.
Maybe we could. If people want us to cover Conan the Destroyer, folks, then let us know. That gives us a reason to actually look at it.
Then I can pay attention and remember what happens.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. I'm throwing as a lifeline. This nerd thought just popped in my head. You know the end scene in Apocalypse Now where they're in the temple? Interesting parallel, isn't there, between that 100%. And this?
Apocalypse Now was before Conan, but Millius wrote it. So you'd have to say that maybe Milius loves a good ending temple sequence.
Oh, damn. So the Conan Xbox game's not very good then. I've never played it, but I guess...
Shout out to Chemical. He didn't enjoy that Xbox game. I think I played Age of Conan on... I'm not going to put your question up, Chemical, or your comment because you have some language on there. But no worries, by the way. This is an anti-woke channel. But I think I played Age of Conan, that MMORPG, but I remember they did like an expansion. I didn't get very far, but they owe us a legendary third-person Conan game, do they not? Like, it's been so long since I played like a medieval, other than like Diablo 4, like a medieval, third-person action game. And Conan's perfect since they can't make up their mind on animation. They can't get the TV show going, and we never got a sequel movie. I mean, obviously, I suppose the comics and the graphic novels and books are still going, so maybe they say, hey, that's how Conan started. But, dude, with video game technology now, you guys owe us a good game.
It's coming. It's coming. I've watched it. I've done my side.
It's on the list. It's on the list. It's on the list. I don't think I'm going to UFC next month, so we got it on the. I'll post the schedule. We got our boy Greg Hernandez joining us for Game of Death next Saturday. Bruce Lee makes his return to the channel. So anyway, I guess we'll just go on to I'll do some casting. There's some hilarious stuff here. So when they were working on securing the film rights, Pressman and Summer were also contemplating the lead role. Summer said they considered Charles Bronson. They offered the role to Sylvester Stallone, who was the first choice, which I have to say about that, guys. And William Smith, I don't even know. I don't know anything about William Emmett Smith Jr. What's he in? So the producers who watched an early cut of Pumping Iron wanted Schwarzenegger. Well, first of all, let's revisit Sly Stallone. I'm gonna take all the snake up there and put the snake on the kill my dad. You know what I mean? I think it would have went Valeria. I know. Valeria. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. They weren't happy with Arnold Schwarzenegger's accent, but they wanted to offer the role to Sly Stallone, a Brooklyn American accent that no one can understand. Does that make sense? Just because he was Jack?
That moment when he was speaking audible English.
Which film was that? We don't want Sly Stallone, but we don't want Arnold Schwarzenegger, but how about Sly Stallone? And then I believe it was, let's see if I have it on here. Sean Connery and John Huston were considered other roles. I believe they offered Connery Thulsa Doom, and he turned it down. Max von Sydow, according to Milius, hired with the hope that they would inspire Schwarzenegger, Bergman, and Lopez. Jones was an award-winning veteran of numerous theater and cinema productions. Von Sydow was a Swedish actor of international renown. The role of Thulsa Doom was offered to Jones while he was considered applying for the role of Grendel in an upcoming feature based on John Gardner's eponymous novel. After learning it was animation, Jones read Conan's script and accepted the part of Thulsa Doom. There's some funny stuff there. I just thought you guys would think it was funny that they tried to offer it to Sly Stallone. I love McQueen. That's my guy from Bullet. He'd be more yummier for you than he would be for me, but he's a fit man. I guess we'll go straight down to. So I was reading about filming. It's mostly in Spain, guys. It's up by you, and that King Conan sequence was England's Shepperton Studios, October 1980, with Schwarzenegger made to look up like Conan as a king in his old age. Reading an excerpt from the Nemedian Chronicles, which Howard had penned to introduce as Conan's stories. Footage was initially intended to be a trailer, but Milius decided to use it as the opening sequence of the film instead. According to Cobb, Laurentis and Universal Pictures were concerned about Schwarzenegger's accent, so Milius compromised by moving the sequence to the end. So that's why we got confused, because they wanted to use it for intro, then they used it for the end.
Interesting.
Which I thought was badass. I love the sets. I mean, those rock formations. I mean, you guys could go on Wikipedia and just go look up, obviously various parts of Spain. I don't really know much about it. I've been to the Barcelona airport and Mallorca, which isn't really going to Spain. It's a tiny island in the south.
Yeah, it's very rocky, so ideal for that kind of movie. I think it was around Madrid and Almeria where a lot of it was shot as well.
Yep, correct. Temple of Set was built in the mountains about 12 km west of the city of Almeria. The structure was 50 meters, 160 feet long, 22 meters high. It was the most expensive of the sets, costing $350K. See, Ross remembered something. Whoa, what's going on? Must Probably haven't taken my medicine for the day. That marsh where they did Conan's resurrection after the Tree of Woe, guys, they got protested because people were worried about them like messing up the animals' habitat. But Millius and the crew promised them that they would like restore everything how it was before they filmed. I mean, I understand people having environmental concerns on a film, but I mean, I trust Millius. He's a smart guy. Mostly just about the sets. You guys can read that stuff. Stunts and swords. If you have anything, guys, jump in.
I was just thinking, it's interesting when it was first released that it got a mixed reaction from the critics at the time, but it ended up becoming a cult classic and still became a commercial success. The critique was too violent. Some of the performances were substandard, which I totally disagree with. And I'm like, if they thought that was too violent, and as we know, they've cut out several scenes for being too violent. So someone out there, if they can release the original version somehow, and again, it's all to do with who's got the rights and whatever, that would be interesting to see, especially if it would answer some of the questions that we've been discussing throughout the review.
I'd like to see some deleted scenes because the ones on my DVD are not that satisfying. The one I was going to tell you guys about, so when Arnold jumped into that tomb where he first got the Atlantean sword, those were real, like the feral dogs, the free wolves. Those were real dogs. When he tried to go up the first time, it grabbed him by the ankle and it pulled him down. The dog actually pulled Arnold down.
Wow.
When he tried to crawl in there. So you could hear Arnold go, "God damn it." He could have got hurt. I mean, this is before CGI, you know. So obviously Michael Aquino. You know, there's the whole Michael Aquino, the whole Zodiac theory. That was one of them. I would like to at least see some like decent fight scenes that are deleted scenes. I mean, I guess there is. I mean, I guess maybe we'll have to look if it's on here, guys. I don't know what the director's cut includes because all I have is the complete quest of both movies. A lot of stuff of how they built the blades, like Gaz was talking about, mechanical effects, $20,000 36-foot mechanical snake for the fight scene in the Tower of Serpents. Wow. Absolutely nuts. I mean, I'm a fanboy for practical effects. You guys know me. So much cool stuff. The Tree of Woe thing, optical effects. Of course, the music, Basil Polidorus, guy's the GOAT. So Basil did the Big Wednesday soundtrack, guys. So that's where Milius pulled him. Like I know the movies have nothing to do with each other other than the same score and same director, but all this has made me want to do is watch that Big Wednesday movie just because me and Philbin were talking about it. Go check out my interview with John Philbin of Point Break, Children of the Corn, Return of the Living Dead. Of course, he's in a bunch of epic films. The release, I want to see critical response. Box office and media. Let's see, almost 10 million over the opening weekend. Rentrax data. Conan covered 8 weeks. Conan grossed 38.5 mil in the U.S. Universal Pictures received 22.5 mil after deducting the amounts due to the cinema owners. Let's see. Marion Christie, interviewer for the Globe, mentioned that the film was a box office success in Europe and Japan as well. Worldwide, Conan the Barbarian grossed between, I don't know if you already said this, guys, 68.9 mil and 79.1 million in ticket sales. Kind of cleaned up.
Yeah, just a bit.
The original budget is like, it's like 20 mil. I don't know. It's like, which was considered high back then, which is crazy. Nowadays, I think John Wick 1 was around 20 million, and Keanu Reeves put his own money in it to finish it because they couldn't finish it. So that tells you guys a lot from the scope of Conan to, John Wick as a more modern piece. Okay. Other media. Let's see. Video cassette released October 2nd, 82. Sales and rental figures were high. The title was listed as Billboard's Top 40, according to Salmon. Don't know what that is. Sales of the film through frequent home video releases increased the film's gross to more than 300 million by 2007. Conan the Barbarian was novelized by Lynn Carter and D. Camps. It was also adapted by Marvel in comic book form, scripted by Michael Fleischer and drawn by John Buscema. The comic was one of the most rarest paperbacks published by the company. Accolades: Best Fantasy Film, Best Costumes, Best Makeup at the Saturn Awards. Sandal Bergman won Best Actress for her performance as Valeria, so celebrated there. Bergman also won Golden Globe, New Star of the Year. So they were all over. I don't know what they ever did after this, guys, other than Red Sonja, which was Buns. Poldoris' score was judged by films and reviewed by Paige Cook as the second best soundtrack to the films released in '82. Nominated for a Razzie for Worst Actor for Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's BS. He was the best actor. The film, well, you know what the Razzies are. The film is recognized by American Film Institute. 2003 AFI's 100 Years Heroes and Villains. Conan nominated hero. Okay, so they, even though people didn't like Arnold, they still rocked with Conan. 05 nominated, same thing. 2008. I think me and Gaz are getting to our radio. Oh, we'll do this before we go out. Sequels. Conan the Destroyer was released in '84 with Schwarzenegger and Mako reprising their roles. A planned third entry in the trilogy, Conan the Conqueror, was previewed for at the end of Destroyer. The film had been planned for an '87 release, with the intended director being either Guy Hamilton or John Guillermin. Don't know anything about either of them. Schwarzenegger was committed to the film The Predator, and De Laurentiis' contract with the star had expired after his obligation to Red Sonja and Raw Deal. I heard they screwed him on Red Sonja, guys. Like, I heard they told him he was going to be playing Conan, and then like he got to set, and they're just like, you're Calidor. Like, it was another weird rights thing, so that's why you get like a super like lackluster performance.
Yeah.
So yeah, that, you know, the whole Red Sonja thing was weird. And Raw Deal, he was not keen to negotiate a new one. The third Conan film fell into development hell, and a diversion of the script eventually was adapted into Kull the Conqueror, released in '97. You know what that Kevin Sorbo piece
Kevin of Sorbo, yeah.
Kevin Sorbo is a tool. That guy is the most annoying person on X, just a complete douche. October 12th, me and guys don't usually talk crap about actors on here, but even though I love Hercules, the Adventures of Hercules TV series, the guy is a tool.
He has some good indie fantasy movies to his name. There's a company called Arrowstorm that knock out some indie fantasy movies. Some of them are good, and others not. But they're all kind of, I guess, homage to these kind of old school fantasy movies, you know, with a bit of sorcery, I guess.
Yeah, agreed. No way, dude. Mark Hamill's way better than Sorbo, bro. Like, don't even start that. We're Mark Hamill fanboy. There's no Hamill slander on PXF. Luke Skywalker is a saint. All right. let me calm down.
Until Mickey Mouse got hold of him.
Let me calm down. Yeah. Well, we don't include that, guys. We're just talking about pure blood Skywalker before he was ruined. 2012, Universal Pictures, and yeah, we kind of got derailed there. Sorry, guys, I got a little excited. 2012, Universal Pictures announces plans for Schwarzenegger to return in the role of Conan for The Legend of Conan. This is what Gaz was talking about, King Conan. The planned story was a direct sequel to the original film, bypassing the Destroyer in the 2011 crap shite fest starring Jason Momoa, aka Clonan 3D. Even though I like Momoa, but it is.
You're referencing the run. I got that straight away.
Sorry, Jason, you're my man. I totally love your Dune character, and his Fast and Furious character is actually hilarious.
Yeah.
In the years following the announcement, Will Beal, Andrea Berloff, and producer Chris Morgan worked on the script, and Schwarzenegger expressed enthusiasm, affirming plans to star in the film. However, in April 2017, Morgan stated that Universal had dropped the project, but that there remained a possibility of a television series. And I remember Mr. H did one thing talking about oh yeah, no, I mean X is a difficult place. I hear you. I remember Mr. H talking about a Conan Amazon series, but now that they got Lord of the LOTR, the Fails of Power over there, I doubt that they would do both. So yeah, basically it never goes anywhere.
Fails of Power.
I do. Yeah, I've never even watched it. So like you tried, right? You said it was the worst.
It looks great for the amount of what you would expect that with the budget that went into it. But I even thought the acting was bad and bad characters. It was just bad cheese and not in a good way.
See, I know you actually know fantasy, so I trust your opinion. Like, I've had like LOTR fanboys tell me like it's absolutely awesome, but those guys love anything. No. They love anything that comes out in the LOTR brand. And I'm more of a Conan guy, as you guys can see.
Conan's darker and more violent, but I've always been like this, Ross, where even if it's something, say, we enjoy, whatever medium it is, sports, film, music, whatever. If it's not good, don't like it, I'm going to say so. Not just because it's, Star Wars or whatever, so everything is great that they put out. No, we will sit here and we will tell you if we think it's good or not, because why?
Exactly.
And there's a bit of that, I feel a bit of that cult fanaticism where it's almost like, oh no, I can't be traced the property I love, so I'm going to say everything's good even if I know this is bad.
Don't be quoting Point Break on here, Slip. I can turn into Bodhi at any moment's notice. This is PXF. I'll throw the Bodhi mask on in a Conan review. Don't tempt me. But everybody go check out my interview with John Philbin. Also check out Lauren's on Average Superstar TV. Also check out my interview with Lou Temple and check out Lauren's on Average Superstar TV. We'll have some updates on Camera X and stuff coming soon. We can go out on this note, guys. The animated series Conan the Adventurer, all out reptoids that he fights in that one. And when his father creates the star metal for him, when he hits them with the star metal blades, they get beamed back to the star system that they come from, universe, whatever you want to call it, dimension. That's a theme I would have really liked to have seen explored in a Conan movie. Or if they did a live action series, I would take it anywhere. But like me and Gaz were saying, he doesn't really fight any actual reptilians in the first two movies. So it would be sweet to see them actually fight them in a live action movie, and then maybe even use that concept of the star metal concept of him beaming them back to their dimension. That would be absolutely sick. But definitely about that.
Yeah, and you got a sequel to Conan the Adventurer as well, Conan and the Young Warriors. That was the sequel animated series. It was aired by CBS. I'm not sure if anybody caught that back in the day as well. But there's so many things to say that have come from the OG Conan. It's the legacy of the man. It's amazing.
Absolutely. But speaking of animated series, it looks like we have the re-release of the Toxic Crusaders Blu-ray here, Pixie, and we also have the Toxic Crusaders game by Retroware, which is coming out soon. I'm going to be watching disc 2 of that soon. Looks like we have a limited edition. I remember I was telling Gaz that I was trying to convince myself not to buy it.
Dude.
Evil Ross 1 glow in the dark Toxie.
Nice.
I believe it's numbered. This is 13 out of 400. So nobody gets this but me. It actually glows in the dark.
Nice.
There's that. And then if we want to take, in case anybody wants to take fanboyism to the extreme, I know you do, Pixie, or fangirlism.
Let's do it, man.
We got the boys right here. We got the whole
there we go, man.
Skate. We got the Toxie Pop Funko Pop in the back. We got No Zone Toxie Major Disaster in the back. We got Dr. Killamoff with the Radiation Ranger and Headbanger there on the skateboard thing. Anyway, we'll be able to when the new Toxic Avenger remake drops August 29th, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll be reviewing that on the channel. Shout out to my boy Gabe. Let's see what Slippy's doing with Dark Knight. Actually, crap, we got to get the Dark Knight review on here, guys. That's my favorite comic movie all the time. Watching Dark Knight, seriously one of the best movies ever. I like Dark Knight. That's my favorite comic book movie. The Joker bank job at the beginning. So that's, you know what that is, Slipknot? That's a allegory to Heat. So that's that whole 5 minutes is a homage to Heat, and that's why William Fichtner is the banker, because William Fichtner's in Heat. So yeah. Yeah, I have. So it's Universal. You haven't seen the trailer yet, Pixie? You gotta get Googling. I mean, yeah, no, we're not fans of remakes here, but I have my. I don't know if I showed it to you guys before. I have the 4-pack that Lloyd Kaufman signed for me of all the Toxie Blu-rays. I'm sure it's around here somewhere. As you can see, there's no shortage of
There isn't. So quick note is 300 in the, for me, top right-hand corner, which would be your top left on your shelf. There is that
graphic novel. Hard copy. Yeah. I have. If I went insane, I have all the graphic novels right here behind the Max.
Oh man, nice.
Next to this Punisher 9.4. But there's a lot of things in there. There's Dune. I have the Crow in there. Shout out to Wet Paint Pictures. Yeah. I couldn't remember if. That Heat scene is epic, and that first 5 minutes of Dark Knight is on YouTube. All right, guys, we got a little bit off of Conan the Barbarian here, but it's all good. Next week. I will post the schedule. So I'm going to have my birthday off, which is the 21st. But before that, Gaz and I will do Game of Death with Greg Fernandez, Bruce Lee deep dive. We'll get that on Mosh Shinobi as well. Make sure you sub Gaz over there. Then we'll do a few more dollars. You guys remember when we did a fistful of dollars? We need to get our Westerns going for the summer again, guys, because Millius directed. There's no way I'm going to remember this now. It's not Outlaw Josie Whale. Jeremiah Johnson. Millius directed Jeremiah Johnson. So we need to get Pale Rider going. We need to get Jeremiah Johnson going. And then after we do a few more dollars, we'll get some more Westerns going for you guys for the summer. And then maybe we'll eventually get around to finishing off The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, which I think is the best of the three.
I'm down as well, and we'll have to throw in Invasion USA for Pixie. And
so that's on the list. So when we come back after my birthday, Pixie, right now, Invasion USA is last for June. And again, I was thinking about maybe going to that UFC event, but it's out in Vegas. So with ticket prices not looking the best, so I don't know if I'll make it. But we'll try to get Jeremiah Johnson in the mix. I mean, anything Millius now is a clear go on PXF. So number one on interweb programming: Ross the Barbarian, Gaz the Destroyer, PXM, Go Sub, Mosh Shinobi. Shout out to everybody who came through: Pixie, Chemical, Slipknot, Mr. JVS. Don't know if anybody else came through and I missed you.
Yeah, shout out to everybody. There was also shouts to Chemical, Mr. JSV, and Wet Paint Pictures as well. Thanks for coming through. Great.
Wet Paint Cody. Join the Crow Days of Sodom group on Facebook. That's where they'll put updates when the trailer drops. I'll post it here, obviously. Camera X updates coming soon. A couple of directors have reached out to your boy, so I may or may not have accepted a villain role in a local film. So we'll have some more updates on that, as well as the horror stuff going on with.
Definitely love your dogs, love your animals. Take care of them, folks.
Oh yeah, dude, absolutely. It's getting summer. Make sure the doggies have water and food. What was I going to go out on next? For anybody throwing down that wants to get your name listed as a supporter in episode 5 or 6 main series of the Zodiac Files, Quentin Broom, I got yours, so I'm just going to credit you as that. But if you do send me a donation, make sure you also include a note that what name or nickname that you want to be in the credits. We're shooting that soon. Episode 5, Lake Herman Road. Episode 6, if you follow Zodiac, you should know what that is. So that'll be going down soon. And if you want early access to those episodes, click the join button for a membership. Like, sub, share, sub Gaz over on Mosh Shinobi. Head over to my Patreon and join free with your Gmail. I'm going to try to watch The Red Circle tonight. So I've been talking about that for like 3 months, and I'll try to get that review up on the Patreon. Like we said, bunch of Most Dangerous Game stuff coming up after me and Gaz do Invasion USA and get Avenging Force and Deadliest Prey and all that stuff going. So Conan the Barbarian, 1982, Swords and Sorcery. We are. Oh wait, we never did our ratings, guys. We almost forgot.
Let's do them real quick.
Massively important.
That was a mass. That's got to go down in history as one of our
blunders. Conan the Barbarian is really good. You guys should check it out. Hey Ross, what'd you rate it? Oh wait, I do ratings on this show. It's got a 6.9 out of 10 on IMDb. Your boy gave it a 10 out of 10. I'm a Conan fanboy. It doesn't get any more than.
There we go. Let's get the Riddle of Steel on the back as well for them.
Riddle of Steel, the adventurer. So it's not the Riddle of Steel. It's the. I'll see if you guys.
Oh, is it what is best in life?
Yeah, can you guys see it?
Yeah.
Can I see it? See them gentlemen before you. All right, guys, what's your rating?
I remember recommended reading.
Yeah.
There we go.
That's like Gaz's Bible. He reads it every day.
It is. It really is.
He prays to Crom.
Yeah, I do. He hasn't answered me yet, but
clean up my room with your powers, Crom, and if not, to hell will you go? All right, go ahead, guys.
10 out of 10. 10 out of 10.
Classic.
It has to be. Has to be. Can't be anything else.
If you guys want us to do Destroyer, leave it in the chats. We're probably not going to do Call the Conqueror. I'm just going to keep it real with you, but we would do the animated series.
Yeah.
All right, shout out for everybody.
That was a comfortable moment.
Number 1 in interweb programming. Shout out to everybody who came through. Get those donations in if you want to get the supporter credits on the main series. Click join and head over to my Patreon, and you can join free with your Gmail. We're out. To hell with you, Crom. You killed my father. You took my father's sword. Oh.
Peace
Appreciate
out.
you guys. PXF.